Hands up. Right, anyway, okay. You ready?
Yep.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Double Feature, the movie review show where a horror whore and an anime addict swap films to persuade each other how awesome our respective genres are. I'm Mike.
I'm Alan.
I don't know, I've never done that before, have I? I don't know why I decided to do that there, I'm really sorry. Anyway, this week we're doing something a little bit different. Normally Alan gives me an anime film to review and I give Alan a horror film to review. But a few weeks ago, a YouTube user called Longboys Post 1975, there'll be a link to his channel down here, posted a suggestion which was for us to review a film, and then we would ask him to review a film, and it would be kind of like double feature across two accounts. So we're actually working on a shout out video for Longboys Post 1975 for his channel, because he's been such a great supporter of our channel, and gone on the forums, he's given us shout outs, he's been fantastic. So we're working on something that's a little bit special, but until then, check out Dave's channel below. Anyway, so Dave suggested, sorry, I'm just talking. What are you going to say?
I was just going to elaborate how we quite ended up with a video entitled Double Dragon.
No, that's what I was about to say.
Okay, cool.
When you go.
Well, yeah, essentially one of our other regular supporters, Ice Cream Suit, suggested that we should look at both Ed Dragon, the Bruce Lee story, which is what Longboy suggested we look at, and we should also look at Enter the Dragon as well. So effectively we could have a video entitled Double Dragon. Now he explained that he was joking, but you know we're not the kind of guys to pass up the opportunity of having a video entitled Double Dragon.
No, that's true. Also, I didn't realise he was joking, even though he explicitly said in the video, in the thing he put in the channel, he explicitly said, "I'm joking, by the way." I didn't read that. I read the suggestion of having a video called Double Dragon and went, well, that'd be really good.
This is just how we roll.
Dragon, the Bruce Lee story, was released in 1993, and it's a biopic picture in a way, and it follows the story of Bruce Lee and how he came to America and gained stardom, unfortunately, after his death. Spoiler alert. Shouldn't say that. That's terrible. Yeah, so the film is a biopic pic, but I think it's more about the sort of spirit of who Bruce Lee was, more than actually being like accurate. Now I have to actually say something here. Although Dave suggested this film, we've both previously seen it, haven't we? Yeah, so we have watched it before, but I really enjoyed watching it again. I hadn't watched it in years, and I think the film is excellent. You learn a lot about Bruce Lee, but like I said, there's a lot of stuff in it that isn't exactly true, so you have to take it with a grain of salt. And the idea of the story is that it starts off with Bruce Lee being a young boy, and he's told by his father that there's this family curse where the firstborn son within the Lee family dies. Some sort of entity tracks them down and kills them. So right away you're watching it going, yeah, this might not be too realistic.
Yeah, it might not be literally true.
So his father, once Bruce Lee gets into a fight with a bunch of British Navy officers, I think his father sends him to America in the hope that this will sort of alleviate the curse and that he'll get away from any of the troubles in Hong Kong. So he goes to America and he has to deal with the prejudice there that people obviously had against people that were from the Far East, because there'd been the conflict with Japan in the Second World War, and then there'd been the conflict with Korea. People being sort of not very well informed wouldn't realise that these are all different peoples, you know, and they sort of lumped everyone into the same category, and you know, yeah, it was a terrible thing. But anyway, so when Bruce Lee is in America, he then sort of tries to educate himself. He goes to college to study philosophy, and the story's really about how he meets his wife, they fall in love, and he overcomes some of those prejudices to then open up his own martial arts dojo, and then a chain of martial arts, which ended up being called Jeet Kune Do, which I actually did for a short while. A little bit of trivia, yeah. I wasn't very good, it then follows him into sort of TV career with the Green Hornet, and then into, you know, going back to his homeland to make some martial arts films, and then making, of course, Enter the Dragon, which is the film that made him famous, and unfortunately he died, I think it was 6 days before it was released, which was a real tragedy, and they're still not totally sure why he died. But anyway, my opinion of the film is I really, really enjoy it, although you do have to take it with a grain of salt. It has sort of symbolic Bruce Lee fights with, you know, this sort of huge, what looks like, he looks almost like a sort of samurai. Yeah,
it's kind of like a suit of armour.
Yeah, it looks kind of like a samurai, but I realised, like, you know, samurai is Japanese, isn't it? So he does look like that. He looks like he's got that sort of armour that you would associate with the time. I'm probably completely historically inaccurate, but anyway, so that's a little bit sort of, you know, I enjoy them. I enjoy the fights that you see him fighting this sort of, it's like almost like it's some sort of demon or something. But there's actually a really poignant moment in the film where he's, you know, Bruce Lee's in this sort of dream state where he's fighting this creature who's the embodiment of this curse, and he starts walking towards his son Brandon. And I think I'm right in saying, did Brandon Lee not die while they were making?
I think he did.
Dragon?
Excuse me, because there's a dedication to him in the credits. It's perhaps made all the more point, because I believe Brandon Lee was originally offered the starring role in this film before it went to Jason Scott Lee, but Brandon Lee turned it down apparently. So,
well, I really, really enjoyed it, and thanks very much for recommending it, Dave, because it was great to watch again, because I remember watching it years ago. I watched it several times years ago, and I was really into it. And you have to take it with a grain of salt, but it is really, really enjoyable, and I think all the performances in it are really good, and the fight sequences, while obviously they're a bit Hollywood, they're really enjoyable themselves. There's every excuse they try and get for Bruce Lee to have his top off in the, you know, in the film.
I haven't really started to think about that, but that is kind of true.
Just so that it's like the films, you know. Anyway, so what did you think of
it? Well, no, I mean, I'm very much with you. I mean, I think the performances particularly do stand out. I mean, I think Jason Scott Lee, I believe, did not have any formal martial arts training before he came on to this film. I believe his background was as a dancer.
I've done research. I've not. I watched the film,
But no, I mean, I thought he carried the film remarkably well. I mean, if he had no background in martial arts, you wouldn't know it. I mean, I thought he was very convincing. He's, I think he has the right look for Bruce Lee. You know, I think he even physically he has the right physique.
He was that's my only. I can't really criticise him for it, because I think he did embody the role really well. But I think he was too bulky.
Oh right,
he was bigger than Bruce Lee. But then, how many people do you know have the physique of Bruce Lee? You know, to get someone down to have that low level of body fat, you know, and just pure muscle, you know, because Bruce Lee was a very slight man. He wasn't big, you know, and I think Jason Scott Lee's quite built more than him, you know, but still, I mean, that doesn't detract from you really believing his.
No, it's interesting that you pick up on that, because I mean, as I say, I'm not, you know, maybe as kind of aware of these things. You know, you're kind of more the exercise kind of man than I am, so.
Can't tell though.
Don't say that. But too hard on you or something. But yeah, it's just, you know, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily have picked up on that. I mean, as I say, I thought that he had the right look to be Bruce Lee in the film. You know, but no, I mean, I thought it was very entertaining. I mean, I'd like to know quite how they came up with the idea behind this one to have the kind of the sort of curse element to it, because I mean,
I think it's based on a book.
Is it really?
I think so.
Oh.
I'm sure I saw that. That's not from reading it, but I'm sure I saw that in the credits. I think some sort of biopic. But there is talk of people have mentioned that there was this idea of there being a sort of curse, you know. And I remember watching. I think it was one of the cuts of Game of Death, and they sort of fake Bruce Lee's death by saying he gets shot during filming, and that was really spooky because that's what happened to Brandon Lee, you know, really spooky, and it's an absolute tragedy that both aren't with us because I actually I thought The Crow was pretty good, and I think he was about to become a really big star. Brandon Lee.
I mean, I think Brandon Lee was even younger than Bruce Lee was when he did it.
Probably, well, he would. I mean, it would be. I mean,
I think he was about 28 or something.
Yeah, it would be. But it's a real sin that happened. But there is this great legacy. I mean, it's you know, Enter the Dragon especially, which we'll go into in a minute. But you know, all of Bruce Lee's work, you know, he really had a cultural impact.
Yeah.
And if you watch the interviews with Bruce Lee, you know, he really comes across as a brilliantly philosophical guy, you know, and he really I think sells the idea of amalgamating East and West. You know, there's some great interviews on YouTube with him and stuff like that. It's really, really interesting. So anything else you'd like to say about it?
Well, the thing that did interest me was whether there might be a director's commentary for this one, because I mean, I think it's the sort of thing it would be quite interesting to know, as I say, exactly what the thinking was behind it. Because I mean, I know I've said it already, but I do think that the idea of looking so heavily into the idea of there being a curse on and marrying this with the kind of, because I think, you know, there is quite a reasonable amount of sort of factual content in the film. You know, it does follow the life of Bruce Lee, so you know, not to the letter, but you know, there is a fair amount of factual accuracy going on there, and to have this kind of amalgamation of a biopic with kind of horror type elements as well, I think is quite an unusual idea. I've not seen anything kind of before or since. You know, there probably are other things out there. Someone's probably going to comment on the channel, right? But I've just never
Dragon, the Bruce Lee story too.
Electric Boogaloo. But I've never seen anybody else try to do this, and I think the film really sells the idea really well. I mean, I think it's it's maybe not the most it's not going to change your life or anything, but I think for doing that is a brave move, and I think it does it really well.
2 seconds, let me check this. Got about a minute left. So I think in summary then, we both really enjoyed the film, and I'm really glad that it was recommended to us because it gave me an excuse to watch it again. You know, I love Bruce Lee, and although the film I think exaggerates an awful lot of things in his life, I think it still gives you a feeling that there's a real emotional heart to the film, and I think that's what you really should take from it. His relationship with his wife is incredible.
Lauren Holly, I believe, was his wife. Yeah, she's really good in that as well.
She was really good. So I wouldn't say it's an absolute must watch, but I think it's
very interesting.
I think it's an interesting film, but I think it's a fun film. It's a lot of fun, and let's say I think it's got heart to it, and anything that has heart to it gets 2 thumbs up for me. So the second part of this Double Dragon episode was recommended by Ice Cream Suit, another really big supporter of our channel, and I say big supporter like we're getting elected or something like that, you know, but he's been great, been involved in the forums and been involved with Very Shifty Bun for a while. But anyway, so he suggested
yes, the original Enter the Dragon, this time the 1973 Bruce Lee classic, and I think it's kind of difficult to describe this one without using words like iconic, but I'll do my best anyway. It's in this one, Bruce Lee stars as a Shaolin School martial arts champion enlisted to infiltrate the tournament being held by a local drugs baron and break up his operation. Now, joining him in this are 2 Americans. You've got Roper, played by the great John Saxon.
John Saxon. Was it you said earlier on about him?
Yeah, he has the manliest name, you know, conceivable. I mean, I think, you know, there's.
I suggested Hank Hankson.
Yeah, that's pretty manly, but you know, I think John Saxon.
John Saxon, Hank Hankson.
Yeah.
What a double act though. Anyway, sorry, there you go.
Pretty awesome. Anyway, John Saxon plays Roper, a gambler heavily in debt to the mob who is involved in the tournament for the money, presumably. And you also got the other man called Williams, who is a martial arts instructor fleeing racist persecution by the local police, played by Jim Kelly, I believe. And the actual story of the film is pretty slight. It is just basically following these people and their fortunes through the tournament to the end. But and in fact the drugs baron himself, I should also mention, is the brilliantly oily man called Han, who seems to be missing his right hand, and as it turns
Ironic.
out, I don't know, maybe he was supposed to be called Hand originally, and someone said we can't call him Hand. I don't know.
Why would someone do that?
Well, I don't know, because you know, when you get Han, it does sound a little bit like they maybe wanted to call him Hand, but
no. Han Solo. Are you saying that Han Solo's name was originally Hand Solo?
No, I just mean because the guy's missing his right hand, you know, it would be like Mr. You know, they call me Mr. Hand.
Well, that would be right, because it's singular, isn't it? It's like Mr. Hand, he only has one hand. Oh, sorry, on you go.
So, anyway, yeah, no, he's great. He's a great villain as well. You know, he's got a variety of pain-related instruments that he can attach in place of his missing hand, so yeah, good value for money. But yeah, no, as I say, the story is pretty slight. You know, I mean, it just follows the fortunes of the various characters through this tournament to the end. And I mean, there's been plenty of martial arts films since then that have had, you know, kind of grander designs, you know, sort of more epic set pieces than this. But I think fewer of them have had such style and panache that, you know, Bruce Lee brings to this. You know, I think very few martial arts stars before or since have looked so much at home as Bruce Lee does here. You know, the camera absolutely loves him.
Yeah.
He looks absolutely the man for the job, effectively. You know, I mean, admittedly, he doesn't have much competition from the other characters. I mean, John Saxon gives an amusing turn that he's largely sort of relegated to being comic relief, and I think his character's kind of underused. And even more so with Jim Kelly, who has really very little to do in the film, which I thought was disappointing. He's quite a likeable presence, I thought. But yeah, it's absolutely Lee who dominates the screen, and quite rightly so. And I think very few stars before have looked so right in the film as he does here. He's just the epitome of cool, basically. It's very difficult to say anything more about it than that. I mean, I think it's one of these films that, while it doesn't do an awful lot with its running time, you know, what it does, it just does incredibly well. I mean, I think you kind of know what you're in for. The moment the theme tune comes on and you hear the little twang, you know it's going to be good, basically. You know what you're getting yourself in for.
I thought you were going to give us a rendition of it. Don't.
I wouldn't horrify you by trying to hum along with it or anything, but yeah. I mean, you know, the dialogue's pretty cheesy. You know, as I said, most of the action I think is actually relegated to the kind of last third of the film, really, which surprised me going back to. I thought there was more to it than that, but it cracks along so well. It's just such an enjoyable little film to watch that I think it really deserves its status as being an iconic picture of the time.
Why did you apologise for saying iconic?
Because I was going to try and get through the review without using words like iconic.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But yeah, I mean,
you're right.
Yeah.
I'm the one with the bad back. You're alright.
Yeah, I'm getting like an empathetic response.
Don't.
Yeah, try not
to. So yeah, I really love Enter the Dragon. I caught it. It was actually coincidentally on television a few weeks ago, and I caught it then. I do really like it. There's not much more I can really add. I mean, my favourite bit of the film was always just that little bit on the boat where Bruce Lee says to the guy who's going to go and fight him over on that island.
Oh yeah.
And he says the art of fighting without fighting, you know. And that's always been my watch alarm's going off over there. Anyway, that's always been my favourite part of the film. It's always been really funny, you know.
Yeah, that's a surprising thing. It is actually quite witty, you know. I mean, it's there is quite some of the dialogue I think is unintentionally amusing, but it is quite I think more enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, I think the whole point is that it in a lot of ways, you know, with like the sort of Bruce Lee character being contacted by like the British intelligence and things like that, it very much feels like a James Bond film to me.
Yeah,
you know,
maybe so. Yeah.
It's got the sort of ridiculous bad guy.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
I feel that that's
quite good. He is quite a Bond villain.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, and it's got the whole atmosphere. The scene where when Lee's sort of dressed in black, sort of you know. Yeah, sneaking around, you know, just sort of like, you know, and the bass, you know, like again, total James Bond. Just the way that he carries himself and how cool and calm and collected he is. Again, James Bond, you know, and I just think that that it is very much a sort of martial arts James Bond film, and that's what I would say to people, you know, if you've never watched it before, then that's kind of what to expect. The only thing is that it not entirely, but it pretty much takes place in the one locale, you know.
For there isn't a lot actually from the island, yeah.
But I thought it was interesting, and I think that it definitely, you know, influenced, you know, a whole generation.
Yeah, it really does set the template.
I think video games as well. You know, the whole idea of having this sort of martial arts tournament. You know, you obviously get Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, you know, these sorts of things. I think all of that can really be, you know, can go back quite, you know, quite strongly to Enter the Dragon. I love the style of the movie. I love it is 70s, but it's nowhere near as that sort of cheap 70s
it's aged pretty well.
Yeah,
I think, considering
when you think of the subject matter and even, you know, the way it was shot, it very much should come across like a lot of the martial arts films of that era that were kind of like really sort of grungy, you know, almost, you know, in parallel to the sort of like Grindhouse.
Well, I was just going to say, it's kind of almost bordering on exploitation.
Yeah, it's got an exploitation feel to it, absolutely. But like you say, for some reason, it's not aged nearly as badly.
Yeah.
And, no, I really like it, and I don't really think I can.
Well, I think the only other thing I was going to add was the little thing I didn't know that you know, I think most people are generally aware that Jackie Chan was involved with this film as a stuntman, but what I didn't realise was that one of the other big martial arts stars, Sammo Hung, actually has a small role as I think he's the kid that Bruce Lee has a stern word with at the beginning of the film. So yeah.
You kids, I don't know why he's.
Well, I say kid, I don't know. He's a young man.
Well, was American.
Don't know what age Sammo Hung would have been there, but yeah. He's in the film. Is the point I'm trying to get across here.
Nice little bit of trivia.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't think there's really much more to add. And I would say like Dragon, the Bruce Lee story, is, you know, it's a really enjoyable film. Enter the Dragon is like a classic though. You know, like you know, it's maybe not too fair comparing the two of them.
Yeah.
But we thought it'd be fun to do a sort of Double Dragon thing.
Also, it gives us an excuse to say ridiculous things like a woman like that could teach you a lot about yourself.
So anyway, if anyone else would like to do a tag response with us and suggest, you know, a video or a film for us to watch, we could maybe work that into some episodes of Double Feature. And I think that's about it.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Quarter circle forward and punch.
Yes. Hadouken.
Yes.
Right, anyway. Bye.
Bye.
So I'm going to review the film that Dave suggested. It's called Dragon, the Bruce Lee story. It was released in, we think, 1993. We just had a slight discussion about that. So if it's wrong, we'll correct it in YouTube space. Yeah, I'm going to review that. Why am I telling that I'm going to review it? Anyway, so Dragon, the fuck's sake. What was wrong with me